Alrighty, and here we go. So, our first hand is not ideal. We have two lands, we have two paths, and a ghostly prison, but we don't really have any action. Like a Squadron Hawk replacing any of these cards would be great. Well, not the land, but... So we're basically hoping we're up against Infect, Death Shadow, because then these cards will be excellent. Like the Proclamation does nothing currently, but if we get up to 4 mana we're happy, or if we draw lands we're happy, and if we draw 1-drops or Squadron Hawks we're kind of happy. So this is certainly a keepable hand. In the dark on the play, there are some matchups where this hand is just probably going to lose, though, which is unfortunate. So our opponent mulligans and then plays a hexproof 1/1. So we're up against boggles, so our paths are not looking so good at all. Ghostly Prison is great though, but it's kind of the only card in our hand right now. Our opponent just attacks with Gladecover Scout, which we're very happy about. So we're kind of hoping they play a Core Spirit Dancer, and they do, and suddenly our path does something, which is great. And the Core Spirit Dancer didn't even draw a card by casting an aura. So this leads me to believe that there might be another Core Spirit Dancer in our opponent's hand. I immediately just slammed the Ghostly Prison though. I could have kept up Path, which would have been actually probably pretty good. If you have the read that your opponent has another Core Spirit Dancer, they're saving their enchantments. You don't want them to get 2 draws off. It's not that disastrous though, even if they do get 2 draws off. And they do have a Core Spirit Dancer, and they end up only getting 1 draw, which, I mean, it turned out this play was better for us even though they had a Core Spirit Dancer, so the Ghostly Prison worked out. And on draw step we're going to path the Spirit Dancer, and they find a forest, and attempt to attack into the Ghostly Prison, which doesn't work. Seems like our opponent probably should have just hit us with this and not played the Scout. And we're just hoping they don't have Totem Armor now, because we drew Wrath, and Wrath is going to be great. If there's no Hyena Umbras or Spider Umbras or whatever. So Wrath is great. We have Proclamations that still currently do nothing. Our opponent actually has another Boggle even, which we wouldn't necessarily expect them to still have Boggles at this point. They had a lot of creature action. So here we are able to Ranger and turn on our Proclamations. So we want to get value from our Proclamations, so we probably are just wanting a Martyr of Sands as well as an Ascendant, which is exactly what we get. And our opponent dings us down to 8, but we're going to be able to gain a lot of life, although we just draw Oblivion Ring, which means we can eat the Spirit Mantle, and that has the nice effect of making Daybreak Coronet fall off because it needs another aura attached. And then we play Sarah Senate. We probably should have played Martyr, since, oh, I guess we're gonna be able to gain up enough life that this is a 6/6. So yeah, that worked out. So yeah, now we have a 6/6 lifelink. They have a 1/1. Your move, Boggles. And we proclamate back our martyrs, and the game is pretty much over. They go ahead and path. And path again. I mean, we're in a good spot. We have a Myria. Even if our opponent does put up a somehow muster up a big creature off of Core Spirit Dancer, we can buy lots of time with Ghostly Prison as well. So I'm actually up to 4 cast mana even for Proclamation. I go ahead and do that. Nice 6 mana 1/1 for free. And then we dump out the Hawks. And our opponent hasn't really found anything, so they're just done. Forecast that back. And they draw Core Spirit Dancer, so I mean, if they were to play Spider Umbra, Daybreak Coronet, and like Ethereal Armor, they could potentially make a huge lifelinking blocker. But now that we have 3 Martyr of Sands in play, and they do in fact make a gigantic breach blocker. They don't have anything though, or at least not are able to cast it without dying to Horizon Canopy. So if they did have Daybreak Coronet, normally that would be a huge problem, because they would be able to first strike off whatever we attack, go up to like 1,016 life, and we would actually be in trouble. It shows how quickly boggles can rebuild, but we could attack in this specific situation where our opponent's at 2, we could attack with all 3 martyrs. Whichever one they block, we sacrifice, and then they won't gain life off of that one, since there will be nothing to lifelink, nothing to deal damage to, and then we just kill them with the remaining martyrs. So that would have been a sweeter way to end the game, but our opponent wasn't even able to muster up a lifelink. So sideboarding, obviously we want Disenchant, Banishing Light, Runed Halo, great against them, good to great. Pretty much that's it that we really want, but we might have to end up putting in more if we can't find good cards to take out. Turns out most of our cards are pretty okay against boggles. Path to Exile, not that great. Weathered Wayfarer, probably not necessary since they're going to be low on lands most of the game. And our Ghost Quarters aren't even that great. Oops. So, yeah. Paths, of course, are only going to be good against Core Spirit Dancer, but they're very necessary. If they do have a Core Spirit Dancer, it's easy to just lose if you don't have a path. So even more paths seems alright. Probably taking out a land on the draw I like even more than the paths, or even a ranger would be okay on the draw, but this seems good, bringing in our 3 things, our 3 good cards. I think I actually brought in Aven Mind Sensor, as we're going to see. I don't know why I did that, especially on the draw. I mean, it's good with Path and Ghost Quarter, but do not bring in Aven Mind Sensor. Maybe on the play it would be okay, but we already have enough good cards that we want for this matchup. Like Ghostly Prison is excellent, Oblivion Ring excellent, Proclamation's fine, Wrath excellent. Yeah. So there's a Mind Sensor. I probably took out all the paths or something, or most of the paths, which I think is a mistake. You don't want to just lose to a Core Spirit Dancer. So, opponent keeps, and we keep as well. We have Ghostly Prison, we have O-Ring, we have Martyr, we have Ranger. I mean, you never want to see your boggles opponent keep on 7. You want to have them mulligan just a little bit. I mean, it's only fair. What are the chances they have boggle in their opening hand, really? And good enchantments. So we draw land, which is excellent. We're going to try and block here and gain some life, which we go ahead and do. And our opponent has a full Umbra draw. So we deploy our Ghostly Prison, make it tricky to attack, but our opponent just has Nature's Claim and Daybreak Coronet. So we are definitely under the gun here. Off the bat under the gun. So we can Aven Mind Sensor Ghost Quarter, but our opponent's lands don't really matter anymore. This is what matters. The 7/7 first strike lifelink reach vigilance hexproof. Bogle. So I just take off the Daybreak Coronet. It's not realistic that we're going to get rid of all 3 of those and make the Coronet fall off, especially since our opponent's going to just be adding more on here. And they play Dryad Arbor, which isn't really an issue. So we go ahead and Ranger. I had Weathered Wayfarer in as well, which doesn't seem great. So here, I took out some Martyrs, or a Martyr, it looks like. Oh no, wait, maybe I had them all. So I just get 2 Serra Ascendants. I wanna outrace this, which seems realistic before that happened, because this has reach, so we can't even attack with 6/6 flyers, although we do still have a Oblivion Ring. So I just play those out. I'm planning on blocking with the Martyr, which is why we didn't sack it earlier, because it's going to prevent our opponent from gaining life and let us gain even more life. So now our Serra Ascendants are big boys. And our opponent's just drawing boggles, which is exactly what we want at this point. Gaddock Teague is interesting as well. It doesn't really do that much against us. It pretty much just shuts off Wrath, which is moderately annoying, but not even that annoying in this spot since there's a whole bunch of Umbras. And now we're bashing with Serra Ascendants. And our opponent top decks a great answer, and we top deck Wrath, which first of all we can't cast, second of all we don't want to cast it. And Seal of Primordium is also an issue. Now our opponent can attack, and we don't really have any great blocks yet. Well, we're probably not ever going to have great blocks, that's for sure. And I go ahead and sack my Martyr and then proclamate those 3 back. So healthy life total, and we're just going to take it. I think I could have blocked everything this turn on the Slippery Bogle, which, I mean, is kind of the plan at this point, since we can't do anything else. So I go ahead and block a whole bunch of stuff on the Bogle, and our opponent does some shuffling and makes a less than ideal order. He's thinking 9 damage will kill these ones, but I can level up my Figure of Destiny, which is actually huge. So we get to keep both Serra Ascendants. So our opponent makes a misplay there. Our Ascendant now has 5 damage on it, which is not great. And we actually draw another Ascendant, which is pretty good. Still can't attack though, because this has reach. And is big. And Core Spirit Dancer is a huge issue. Which means I decide to move on destroying my opponent's white sources. They're not going to be able to cast the white enchantments, which is a huge deal. Wait for them to draw and then go ahead and blow that up. So it's turning out the Aven Mind Sensor is actually pretty crucial here, even though you wouldn't think it. And our opponent paths the Figure of Destiny, which could grow up to be a big boy. And now 666, we go ahead and triple block and lose 1 to take out a Hyena Umbra. It seems great. And here again, we're just grinding through this boggle. And now the Umbras are off. The glows are off. And we're actually getting close to a Miriam. Look at our life totals, 60 to 64. Okay, we don't want to see that, that's for sure. And now we can't deal with this. But we get another Serra Ascendant, and our opponent can't even block. So we're basically at parity now, or actually even winning, but our opponent has a lot of good draws. And we're not attacking with Aven Mind Sensor because we gotta remember this forest has reach as well. Would have been better for the Umbra to be on the bogle, it turns out. But it's also protecting our opponent's land from like Ghost Quarter. So I go ahead and blow up my own flagstones, which is going to enable my Emeria. So it'll give me 2 planes. And now we're bringing back 6/6 lifelinkers every turn, which is pretty good. And we have another Emeria. Opponent goes ahead and blocks the Mind Sensor. And has 2 Core Spirit Dancers and white now. So the reason we're happy just getting rid of the Mind Sensor is because we're able to bring it back. And here I named Slippery Bogle, which was actually a mistake, I think. I'm thinking, well, this is a big guy, right? Well, turns out these can get very big, and our opponent has the white source, so I should have definitely named Core Spirit Dancer here. And already an 11/11, boom. Of course, we have a pretty big life total, and every turn we went up to 100 there for a second. We're getting back these martyrs every turn. We're still able to attack with our squadron here, our squadron of not hawks. Speaking of which, where are the squadron hawks at? Did I side them out? That's possible. And path targeting Slippery Bogle? Fails to find. Okay. Not sure what happened there. Maybe our opponent forgot about the Aven Mind Sensor. It came back. Well, there's a 35-33. Good thing we're at 121 life. And there's still no lifelink, which is the huge factor here. So that would have been very interesting if our opponent had found lifelink. We would have actually eventually started losing to this, although our opponent is actually getting low on cards. If we ever find a way to deal with the teak, we can actually just happily wrath this away too. So that was an interesting game. We ended with a nice little life total, and like this was a misplay. Our opponent made a few questionable plays as well, but a very entertaining, interesting game, at least for boggles versus Mono-White, I would say. A very high life total game, I will say, and entertaining. You know what? If you don't like this type of magic, what type of magic can you possibly like? Returning 2 creatures a turn, a 35-33 protection from creatures that draws you cards. That's pretty good stuff.